Hi, everybody. Hope everyone is doing good this evening. I am so sorry for being a couple of seconds late. I was just actually walking around the sewing room, totally lost track of time. And then when I looked over to my computer, it was like, hey, it's showtime. And I was like, oh, it's 8:01. Sorry about that. So, welcome everybody. For those of you new, I'm Jeanette from Boricua Sewing and Crafts, and this is Embroidery Happy Hour time. The first hour, I usually talk about the topic. After 1 hour, I just hang out with you guys and just shoot the breeze and stuff like that. So, if you're new, welcome, and I hope you consider subscribing. So, let's talk about what we want to talk about today. Today, we're going to be talking about embroidery waste, okay? And I have my usual notes on stuff about embroidery waste, okay? So, one of the things, what made me really think about this topic today was when I was working on a bulk order. And one of the things that I was doing when I was working on the bulk order is I was cutting around the embroidery design and I was looking at all the extra stabilizer. And there were little pieces of stabilizer. And what I did was instead of just crumbing it up and throwing it out, I just cut them in little squares. And I figured this is something that I can use for a later project. And one of the things that went through my mind was how many times do we use things in the world of embroidery and not even think about how we're using it and if we are wasting, okay? So I wanted to talk about that, okay? So as you know, embroidery can be something that is very, very expensive. For those of you that are new into the world of embroidery, a lot of times people have the perception that it's something really fun to do, and it is. Something easy to do, it's really not. And something that once you buy the machine, inexpensive to do, and you can just rock and roll. Well, it's not really light for those that are in the pocketbook, which is why embroidery waste is something that I think is an important topic that we should be talking about. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things where we have to purchase things for embroidery, but we really don't think too much. Well, we think about the cost, but at the same time, we kind of waste money because we really don't think thoroughly enough. Okay. So I wanted to talk based on that. So I have three things. Okay. And I'm going to touch base on some of it. And one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to think about this. Okay. Especially if you're new, this is really going to be helpful to you. And even if you're on in embroidery, some of these things might be something that you're probably going to either kind of nod and say, you know what, she's got a point there, or say, no, I think I'm good there. I don't think I'm wasting in that area. Okay, so let's go down that list that I have over here and let's see what we got going on. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing, which is the machine. The machine is usually the most expensive portion of embroidery. Okay, it can run you from maybe $500 all the way to close to $30,000, $40,000, okay, depending on the brand and the type of machine that you get. Usually the ones on the low end are usually the beginner machines. And then when you get to the high price ends, those are usually industrial machines, and they're usually the top of the line ones, okay? And then you have those that are kind of in the middle. Now, you may ask, well, what do you mean by embroidery waste when it comes to embroidery machines? What I mean is that sometimes what happens is that people really don't do the proper research before investing in one of these machines. And then what ends up happening is that they find out in the long run that it's not really the machine that they should have really looked into getting. Okay. They ended up buying something that didn't have the functionality that they needed, didn't have the hoop size that they needed, or the speed, or sometimes, it's just wasn't something that really was a good fit for them. After they tried embroidery, they were like, this is not for me. And next thing you know, you got waste. Okay. Now, what happens if you buy a machine and you find out that it's not the right one? Well, you do have options there. Okay. There are times when people have purchased machines, they see that it's not something that is what they wanted, or maybe it didn't have the features that they wanted. So what they usually do is they resell. Now, the only problem with that though is, remember, if you're buying a brand new machine, you're actually buying it at the top price list, right? And embroidery machines are kind of very similar to cars. They don't increase in value, they actually decrease, okay? They depreciate within time. So what ends up happening is you could buy an embroidery machine for like $20,000, and then if you go to try to sell it, depending how much usage is on the machine, how many stitches, how many hours of stitching, that will determine how the machine kind of goes down in price, right? And then you can always try to sell it yourself. You can do a private sale, just like a used car. You can do it a private sale, or you can go to a sewing shop and you can ask them if they can try to sell it for you. Of course, though, if you go that route, it's kind of like going to a car dealer and trying to sell it to them. They'll probably buy it for you at a lower cost so they can sell it at a higher cost. Or they'll tell you, okay, we'll try to sell it, but we get a certain percentage of the sale price, right? So the bottom line is that when you buy the machine and if you find out that this is not the right machine for you, right there, right, you got waste going on. Okay, so that means that you're losing a little bit of money. Okay, so what can you do to avoid that? Well, I already got a lot of videos out there that talks about different types of embroidery machines, the flatbed, the multi-needles, and also some of the things that you should really be looking at before you go and invest. It is the most expensive portion of the craft, the world of embroidery is actually the machine, because that is actually the thing that actually makes the item for you. But you really have to do your homework. Okay, there's a lot of different models out there, a lot of different brands. Each brand is unique in its own different way. They all do embroidery, but they all do it differently. Okay, they all do hats. They all, have different hoops. They also have, different functions to help the embroiderer, you, the machinist, to actually be able to create your embroidery, you know, in a perfect way, right? Some have cameras, some don't have cameras, some have lasers, some have different sizes of hoops. There's just so many different things. So you really do have to do your research. A big mistake that I see a lot of people do is they kind of like, I don't want to say you're lazy, but what I'm saying is what they do is they'll see someone and they see them using this machine and they go, that's the machine I gotta get, because that person's using it and is excellent, and I'm gonna get that machine. That's the one that I want. I want that brand, right? Well, that's a mistake that you can make there too, for the simple fact that you have to think about what it is that you're planning on doing with your embroidery, right? Not everyone's doing the same thing. Like if you're going to be doing custom embroidery, are you going to be focusing on hats? Are you going to be focusing on baby onesies? Are you going to be focusing more on blankets? What is going to be your niche? What is it that you want to do in your world of embroidery, right? That is going to help you to determine the functions that you need. On top of that, also is do know that as time goes on and you start to excel in your craft, you may want to expand your craft a little bit and do other additional things. So you then have to look back and think about that and say, hey, is this going to work for me or not and stuff? Is this something that's going to grow with me? Or no, I made up my mind. This is exactly the products that I want to create. I don't need to go any further, right? So those that you have to really think about what your particular needs are in order for you to determine what's going to be the best machine for you. I see a lot of people that they buy a machine just because someone recommended it or they saw it somewhere. They just went off the cuff, they bought it, and then had problems learning how to use it, or it just didn't work out for them. And then next thing you know, you see it on Facebook Marketplace, or you see it on garage sales. They just do whatever they have to do to try to get rid of that machine. Okay. So the last thing you want is for that to be part of the embroidery waste in your world. Okay. So before you purchase anything, and I will tell you, I'm not affiliated with any type of embroidery machine brand. I know what I use, and I don't tell people you have to get this machine because I use it. On all the videos where I have talked about embroidery machines, I always tell you about different features, or different things or questions that you need to ask yourself so that you can make the best decision for you. Okay. Everyone's journey in life is different. It's going to be the same way with the embroidery machines. It's kind of like buying a car, right? Some people like the Tesla, some people like a Toyota, some people like a Honda, some people like Mercedes. It all depends on you and your particular needs. Okay. So make sure that when you are selecting a machine, you are selecting the right one for you, something that you understand is going to help you with the things that you want to do. Okay. Because if you don't do that, big waste of money, and you're going to regret it. And before you know it, that's thousands of dollars that could have stayed in your pocket if if it doesn't work out. So it's just something to really, really think about it. I can't emphasize that one enough because that is really, truly the biggest one where I see a lot of people go beep with their money. Okay. Is because they really just don't focus on what it is that they need when they're purchasing their machines. Okay. The other thing, number two, okay, I got a little list here and stuff that I've been thinking about and stuff while I was doing my little bulk order and stuff. Additional equipment. Okay. There are so many notions, different hoops, different things that you can get for embroidery. Okay. They all claim that they're going to make your life easy and stuff like that. And some actually, most of them really actually do. Actually, I have never really purchased an additional accessory that I didn't say like, oh, I kind of regret it. Now there was one which was the riser, but there was a video where I bought the riser thinking this is going to really help me, and then I found that I really didn't use it much. But then I had a customer that came to me with a particular tote bag that was not bendable at all, and that riser is what helped me do the trick and fill that order. Okay. And I was so grateful at that moment that I actually did spend the money on the riser. However, though, let's think about this though. Okay. There are so many accessories out there, and some of these accessories are not cheap. So when you are buying these accessories, you have to ask yourself, is it something that you are going to be always using? Okay. If you aren't, is it something that you can afford to spend just to have on the side for when the occasion arises? Okay. I just have to see what Mello has in his mouth. Oh, great. I'm sorry. Mello, I had cheese in here. No more cheese for me. Okay. Mello, I hope you don't get a stomach ache. Anyway, okay. So my dog got to my cheese. Okay. So I was having cheese outside. So Mellow. All right, here he is. The cheese thief. Okay, so anyway, sorry guys. Oh god, Mellow's a trip. Okay, so anyway, so let's go back to the accessories. Okay, so there's a lot of hoops, right, that are out there, and there's a lot of different sizes. And I'm gonna tell you, there is one thing that I have a girlfriend, and I've talked about her before, where she loves to do embroidery, and her thing, she has an SC 1900, and I've asked her, "Are you planning on upgrading your machine?" All she has is the SC 1900. She will not get another machine. She says, "I have no need for it. I am fine doing what I'm doing." Okay. She just deals with the 5x7 hoop and mostly a 4x4 hoop. Okay. So she didn't even have to go up to the 1900. She just wanted to treat herself. So she went from the PE 800 to SC 1900. Her thing is baby onesies. That's all she likes doing. She is, it's just her thing. She just loves it. Sometimes she'll do blankets, sometimes she'll do little hats, but baby onesies is her baby. Okay, that's what she likes to embroider. And she loves to do the applique. That's her thing. Okay. So my whole thing is, think about the hoops. Okay. When I show her all the other hoops, she's like, I don't need that. I'm fine. All I need is a 5x7 and a 4x7, and I'm golden. That's all she wants. Now, I have a whole library of hoops, but I do embroidery as a business. Okay. And I think Mello grabbed something else of mine. He sure did. Oh my God. Give me that. Come here. Mellow. So I guess I'm not going to have any cheese tonight. Okay, so anyway, he's looking at me like he wants me to chase him. I'm not doing that. Okay. So I have a whole library of hoops, okay? And but I do run a business. So a lot of times I do need to have those sizes of hoops because I deal with a lot of custom orders, all right? And the custom orders is not something that I can project, all right? Because what I when the orders come, I have to look to see what it is that the customer wants me to embroider, and I have to have the different sizes available to so that I can go ahead and finish the order, right? But I do have like different sizes, and some are multiples, right? Like I have the 5 by 5 hoop. I have about 5 of those hoops. The 8 by 9 hoop, I have 3 of those hoops. The huge 8 by 13s, I have 3 of them, but I have 3 machines. Um, so the thing is, I always look at my hoop library, and I always look at the different sizes that I have. But the thing is that I'm very, very careful about not overbuying. Okay. Now, why do I have so many of the 5 by 5s? Now, I'm going to tell you why. When you are doing shirts for businesses, okay, and I have 3 multi-needle machines that I usually use and run all the time. The reason why I have 5 is because 3 of them will be hooked already in the machine embroidery. The other 2 hoops is where I go ahead and I pre-hoop the shirts. So that way, as the machines are done, I can swap them. All right. That way there's very minimum time that is being wasted. Okay. Because time is of an essence, that's valuable. Okay. So you got to be careful though when you're buying a lot of hoops and the different sizes. Ask yourself, because hoops can be very, very expensive, especially if you're looking to buy magnetic hoops for multi-needles and stuff like that. I'm not saying that they're not worth the money, because I'm going to tell you something, they are worth the money in gold. I mean, I have absolutely no regrets in buying those items. However, though, I do tell people, be very, very careful when you are buying those things, because you could be overbuying, right? You could end up buying a lot of hoops that you're not going to be using. So it really depends on your situation. So there are a lot of times when you see a lot of gadgets out there and you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I need that. And then next thing you know, it's not something that you use. The reason why I'm looking around is I wanted to see if I could find one. There was one gadget that I bought, and I thought to myself, why the heck did I buy that? I don't see it offhand, but it was a bobbin winder. Okay. I bought a bobbin winder thinking, oh, let me buy that. I can just go ahead and make all my bobbins really quick. I'm going to tell you something. I think I spent like a good $75 for that. And didn't even get to use it once because I couldn't even figure it out. Okay. And then I got so busy doing orders that the time frame to return it passed, so I'm stuck with it. Okay. So now I look at it and I'm like, okay, that's $80 that went whoop, down the toilet. Okay. Hopefully a day will come, and that's wishful thinking. Okay, that's just me telling myself maybe one day it's going to happen, that I'm actually going to sit there one day and try to figure this out. Now, I will tell you this: when I was first trying to work that bobbin winder, I felt like I was wasting so much bobbin trying to figure it out, that I was like, it's not even worth it. Okay. Because this is thread that I could be utilizing on an actual product. Okay. So you got to be careful when you are investing in different types of notions, like different types of hoops, different types of stuff. Okay. Always ask yourself, is this something that you really need? Okay. Because you can get addicted to actually buying stuff. I know I do get addicted. Okay. I am very addicted to machinery. I truly am. Okay. I will not go into a sewing shop and sit in front of a sewing machine or an embroidery machine and play with it, because I'm gonna want it. I know I'm gonna want it. Do I need it? No. I have enough machines. Okay. I got 7. I got 7 machines. Okay. I even got 2 sergers. I got 2 sewing machines. I got 4 embroidery machines. I don't need any more machines. Okay. Even my husband tells me, what is up with you in the machines? It's just that you always see it. It always looks like, I don't know. It's a problem. Okay. So I'm going to have to go to probably Sewing Machine Anonymous or something like that so that I can stop. Now, we have a sewing and quilt expo that is coming up in September. Let me tell you, I got to really work hard at not sitting by those machines because I'm going to be like, oh, ooh, especially with the new Luminaire, or not the Luminaire, I think they call it the Adventure or something like that, which I heard that machine is over 20 grand. I got to be careful, okay? Because I'm like, wow, I mean, I would love to have that machine. Maybe I'll start saving, and then when I retire in 2 years, I can give that to myself. I don't know. But I probably Fred's gonna look at me and say, "You got to get rid of one of these machines in here before that new machine comes in, because it could get a little crazy." Okay, every time, and that's one thing. It's kind of like having a new car, right? You get a new car, you get all excited, got that new car smell, and then next thing you know, next year comes a new car and it has all these different functions. You want the new car. It's the same thing with sewing machines. They are very, very expensive. That's why I always compare sewing machines to buying a car. Different brands, different models, different functions, and almost every other year they come up with a new model, with a new function or something. Okay, so you got to be really careful when you're buying your accessories for your machines. They can be very, very expensive. This is the other thing that I find comes waste. Okay, quality versus the saving of the money. Sometimes what happens is you need something, right? Give you a very simple example. Scissors, okay? Sometimes you just want a pair of scissors, right? But you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on scissors. So you'll go and you'll buy a cheap pair of scissors. Before you know it, that cheap pair of scissors that you only paid like one, two, maybe $3 for, because you just went somewhere and got it real cheap, right? Next thing you know, first you're trying it out and it's cutting your fabric really nice. Okay. Before you know it, it's like it's not cutting even. And then you're like, oh, so you got to go and you buy a new pair of scissors. Then you buy another pair of scissors, right? By the time you're on your 6th or 7th scissor, you could have bought yourself a good quality scissor for that price. Okay, because you already re-bought everything. Okay, so it's just something that you know people have to really think about. Oh, I just made a sale. Did you guys hear that? Or the wonderful sound of the ching ching. I just okay. I'll have to. Oh, oh, wow. Okay, all right. So let me put this away. All right. Looks like I'm gonna be working this weekend. Okay, so yeah, so be very careful about certain things. Okay, another thing is like needles. People sometimes go and they buy these really cheap needles, and then before you know it, they tell me, oh, the embroidery, it just didn't look like it came out really good. Well, it didn't come out good because you bought really cheap needles, and what happens is those very inexpensive needles get dull a lot quicker. Okay, and believe it or not, those the type of quality of needle you use will make a difference in how your embroidery stitches out. So you have to be very conscientious of those things. And these are things that usually people learn with experience as time. So if you think that I didn't start using the cheap needles, how wrong you are. We all did. Okay. I'm talking about mistakes that even I myself have made. Okay. So this is not to make anybody feel bad. This is just something that you learn with experience. Okay. So it's like as time went on, I started learning that in some things, it's best to just go and spend the extra dollars. In other things, you know, you don't have to worry about it. A seam ripper, okay? Seam ripper, you can get the real cheap ones. They all work the same, not a problem, okay? I never had an issue with a cheap seam ripper. You can buy super expensive ones or you can buy the real cheap ones. They all work the same, okay? So when it comes to that stuff. thread. They have the expensive thread, then they got the inexpensive thread. The threads have different types of quality texture. So it really depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your embroidery, okay? Some people like the matted look, some people like the shiny look. Some threads just look better when they embroider than others. It really just depends on what works for you, and also the design of what you are embroidering, okay? So if you are embroidering something that has a lot of details that are very small, fine, I really would shy away from the inexpensive threads, okay? One of the things that I noticed with inexpensive threads is that sometimes you will get color bleeds, and also you get a lot of lint, okay? And you do see a lot of lint with some of those inexpensive threads. So you got to be conscientious of that. The other thing that I also tell you is, because of especially some of these inexpensive threads having a lot of lint, when you rewash an item, how is that embroidery thread going to hold up the design? Is it going to look good, or is it going to start to fuzz? Okay. Those are things that you have to be conscientious of, and those are things that you will learn as time goes on as well. Okay. That is something you're going to learn with experience. The thing is, though, one of the things that I tell people is, there's a big difference when you are embroidering for friends and family, and there is a big difference when you are embroidering for a business. When you are embroidering for a business, that is not the time to be cheap. That is not the time to be experimenting whether this type of thread is going to work in the long term and all that kind of stuff. You really got to know your stuff, because as you guys have heard me say this in the past, your work represents you when it leaves the room. Okay, not just when they first come and pick it up, but when they leave the room and how long it lasts. Okay, it will continue speaking about you. So you want to make sure that when you are embroidering, you're embroidering with the right equipment and the right supplies. Okay, that is really, really important. Okay, so be very careful about, overstocking your hoops. Make sure that you have a good understanding of what you're doing, what you want to do, and that you're not overbuying all these accessories. There's always going to be a new accessory out there, the newest thing on the market, and stuff like that. You do have to sometimes sit back and ask yourself, do I really need that? Do I really need it? Is it really going to help? You know what I'm saying? Is it really something that I can't live without? And and this is another thing too that I tell people, when you are buying something new. Let's say for instance, I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to upgrade your sewing machine or your sewing embroidery machine, right? What I did when I got my SC 1900 was, I had an actual sewing machine, which was the Brother HC 1845 or something. I forgot the number, what it was. It's the sewing machine that Nancy uses, my sister. I had that machine first, and before the SC 1900, and then I wanted the SC 1900 because I did want a sewing slash embroidery machine. The thing is, it was a big price difference. When I bought my first sewing machine, it was like $185. When I was looking at the embroidery, the 1900, we're talking 1,000. So that's like a $900 difference. And all I kept thinking was, oh my God, that's $900. And I don't know how you guys are, but I know with me, I just felt guilty about spending that much money on myself. And I was like, oh my God. And even though my husband was like, you work hard, stop socking it all away, spend something on yourself, right? So he pushed me to buy it. So I said, fine. But so that I wouldn't feel guilty, what I did was, I took the old sewing machine after I got the SC 1900, and then I sold it. And I sold it on Facebook. So that way I was like, okay, so I got some money back. So I sold it for like $125, right? Which to me wasn't bad, because I paid $185 for the sewing machine, and I sold it for $125. So if you really think about it, I mean, it's like, $60 difference, something like that. I'm not very good at fast math or whatever, but I mean, it's not bad. right? I got most of the money back. So I was like, okay. Then, I was thinking, all right, well, I still had $100 and a couple of hundred that I spent on that SC 1900. But when the pandemic hit and then I did all the face masks and everything, I made all that money up so that the guilt went away. So, but, the thing is that, you want to make sure that, you could spend a lot of money on this stuff. I mean, all different types of threads and all that kind of stuff, the hoops. I got like three different types of hat hoop. I got the brim hoop, the wide, the regular hoop, hat hoop. I got the brim hat hoop, the wide hat hoop, and then the regular hat hoop, all for my brother machines. Now, some people come out and say, Jeanette, that's three hat hoops. Yeah, but I have three multi-needle machines. So what I kind of like about it, even though there are three different types of hat hoops, I can still hat my hoop my hats, and I can have all three machines running doing hats at the same time, which I love. Okay, because when people come to me and they say, hey, I want to order 20, 30 hats or whatever, not a problem, because I can have all three of these machines running and creating hats for me, and it's great. So you got to think about that though. Think about what you're spending, what you're buying. Is it something that you're going to use? Because think about it, if it's just sitting there and you're not using it, you did kind of waste money. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to think about. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the supplies and stuff. A lot of times people go a little crazy on this kind of side. All right. Let's talk about blanks for a minute. Blanks can get pretty expensive, and yet they can be inexpensive too at the same time. However, though, they are, in my opinion, very expensive if they're just sitting on your shelf and they're not moving. Okay. If you are not doing anything with the blanks that you bought, that to me is money that's a little bit wasted. All right. So, but sometimes it's kind of hard because it's like you want to be able to have things when people buy, right? You don't want to like say, oh, I bought a blanket, somebody bought a blanket for me, but now I don't know where to get the blanket from, right? So you do have to sometimes think about how much you should have in stock. There is such a thing of overstocking. Okay, I prefer to sold out, to have it all sold out, than for me to have items sitting on the shelf. That's just me. Okay. The reason why I prefer that is because I know every single blank got used, got sold. Everything that I bought was sold. If I have blanks sitting on my shelf and I'm not getting rid of them, I'm upset about that. I'm upset about it because that means that I wasted my money on buying those blanks. Okay. Now there are different ways to buy blanks. Okay. A lot of times people buy them from local sellers and stuff like that and everything. I buy them from overseas because they are cheaper. But the only issue with buying them overseas is, first of all, it does take a while to get them. Okay. Sometimes depends on how you have them shipped to you. If you want them shipped to you really quickly, it's going to cost you a lot in shipping. Okay. So I'm never in a rush. I'm okay with being sold out. So I will, and I like to order in advance. So a lot of times when I see that my shelf is starting to get really low, I'm like, okay, I know that I'll probably run out by the end of next month or in 2 months. So let me put the order in now. So that way, when I am at my last two, I already got my new order in. So that's usually how I do it. Okay. So, it's really kind of hard to predict sales sometimes, but you can kind of, when you are running a business, you kind of know what your peak points are, right? Like, and because it depends on what products you're offering. Like, I know for me, the holidays, I'm big. It's like I am nonstop. And the thing with me also is I'm not just an online seller, I'm also local as well. So I have to make sure that my inventory is able to handle both ends, okay? Local sales plus online sales, okay? But if you are not there, right? If you're just starting and stuff like that, you got to make sure that you're not wasting your money on inventory that's not going to be used, okay? It does take a while to make that first sale. And the thing is too, is sometimes this business can fluctuate a lot. There are going to be moments where you're going to have so many orders, you're going to be like, shoot, I can't keep up. And then there's going to be times when you don't even make a sale. And then you're like, what's going on? Okay. It's like you really have to know how to balance it. And you really have to know how to sit back and take a look at your inventory and know exactly where to put your money up, correctly. Okay. And stuff. So be very careful when you're buying blanks and stuff. Threads. Be careful how you buy your threads also. The threads come in different brands, different textures, different prices. Make sure that you are buying the brands that are going to work for what you're doing. Okay. The other thing about the threads that I see is people overbuy them. A lot of times people get stuck on these big combs, right? They're like, oh, I got to get the big combs. I have to always order the big combs. And I always ask people, well, why are you buying the big combs? Or is that the color that you're using all the time? That's the thing that I always ask people. Are you buying that because that's the color that you use all the time? Like, I know for me, okay, I use a lot of browns. I use a lot of beige. I use a lot of black. I use a lot of white, a lot of silver. I use a lot of pink. There's certain colors that I use a lot of. Those are the colors that I will get the big combs in because I know that I use them a lot. There are also a couple of greens that I have to order in big combs as well. However, though, there are some colors that I could get the small combs. Okay, there are certain shades of greens that I don't use that much, or certain shades of blue or red or whatever. And those, just buy the small comb. Do you really need that big comb? Honestly, do you really need it? Because I bet you what happens is that big comb is probably going to sit in your sewing room for about 2-3 years. I get a high when I use all the thread on my comb and I have like the comb naked. I get a high off of that. And you know why? Because I know I use every inch of that thread. Every inch. And I get all excited. So that to me is like, oh, I got my money's worth. Okay. So you got to ask yourself, are you getting your money's worth on the thread that you're using? Are you? Or is the thread sitting on your rack collecting dust? So you have to take the feather duster and go over your little threads. And even though they look beautiful on your little thread rack, are you using them? That's the important thing. Are you using them? So I'm just saying, be very careful with the threads. The bobbins. Oh my God. This is something that really kills me. And I don't know why people do it, but I get a heart attack when I see people do it all the time. I have seen people take a bobbin that they have, like, they use, right? And there's a little bit of thread on there, and they throw it out. And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you kidding me? Are you crazy? Why are you throwing it out? These are my little bobbin thing, okay? As you can see, clean as a whistle. You know why? Bello, come here. You know why? Because I use every inch of thread. I'm gonna have to close this door because he's barking. I use every inch of thread, okay? Every inch. Sometimes people, what they'll do is like they'll have some thread left on there, and then instead of of taking it out because they want to use a fresh bobbin when they're working on a project, which I got, and I do that too. But what I do is I take it out and then I put it in a little bowl. And then when I'm working on these other projects, that's when I'll use those that are like half used, and I'll finish them up on other projects. Okay. I don't take a bobbin that has thread already on it and throw it out. That to me is wasteful. Okay. A lot of people do that. And I'm like, are you crazy? Why are you doing that? You're throwing away thread. And sometimes you'll have a little bit of thread left on your bobbin and you think, well, how much embroidering is it going to do? Well, you know what? It'll finish up a letter. It could finish up a word. It could finish up. It's doing something. It's doing something. Don't throw it away. Oh, I got something in my eye. Anyway, so yeah. So be very careful when when you're looking at when you're dealing with your threats. Okay, that is something that I see a lot of people sometimes waste their money on. It's like they don't use all the thread in their spool. Okay, buy the little ones. Buy the little ones. If you were to talk to a lot of people that have embroidery businesses, and if you were to really look at the threads that they use, you're gonna see that a lot of people they don't all have the big combs. A lot of good embroidery businesses, what they do is they have the different sizes. And if you were to ask them, they're going to tell you what I'm telling you right now. They're going to say, why am I going to buy a big comb of this color when it's not something that I use all the time? Instead, they will go and they'll buy the black, the white, brown, or whatever, what are the most colors that they use. And then for those other ones, they use the small. That's what they do. Okay. That helps to save money. Don't waste your money on the big combs if you don't need the big combs. Okay. That is really, really, really important. Now let's talk about the stabilizers and what people do. Okay. With the stabilizer. Stabilizer is really can be pricey. Okay. You cannot do embroidery without the stabilizer. The stabilizer is what helps the embroidery to have its strength so that it can really look good on your fabric. Okay. Different types of fabric will determine the type of fabric that you're embroidering on. Got a tongue tied there. Is going to determine the type of stabilizer you're going to use, right? And also the type of embroidery design that you're using as well. You have embroidery designs that are very dense. You have some that are not dense. Some that are very, what they call it, stretch embroidery. That's not dense. But there's different types, and sometimes the amount of stitches matter as well. The types of threads that you're using. There's a lot of things that you have to think about before you start to select the type of stabilizer you're going to use. Also, it's expensive, right? So what do I see a lot of people do? Well, sometimes what happens is I see that people will buy stabilizers that's pre-cut. I buy it. I buy them too. Okay, they're very convenient, but do know that when you are buying the pre-cut, you're actually paying for them to pre-cut that stabilizer for you. One of the ways that you can save money is if you go and you buy the big roll of the stabilizer. Sometimes that is actually better because what happens is you're just cutting the size of the stabilizer that you need, which means that that stabilizer that's in a roll is going to last a lot longer. Okay. Now, in some situations, it does make sense to buy the pre-cut, but then in others, you can also buy the roll. Now, I actually buy both. Okay. I do buy pre-cut and rolls. A lot of times what I do is the pre-cut, I always buy for the 8x8, the 8x8 size for the logos that are going into the shirts. I do a lot of embroidery for small businesses in the local area. And a lot of times what they're looking for is polo shirts with their logo on it, t-shirts with their logo on it, jackets, vests, bags, aprons, and stuff like that. And sometimes the logos are usually at a size of a 3x3, right? So usually what I'll do is with a 5x5 hoop, I use the 8.5x8.5. The pre-cut, to me, it makes more sense for those types of jobs, okay? And because I get a big amount of those jobs, I always get the pre-cut because they really make the best sense for me to invest in. However, though, sometimes I have embroidery designs that are a little bigger. And a lot of times what I do is for those embroidery designs, I like to buy the big roll. It's like the cutaway stabilizer and the tearaway stabilizer, okay? I like those because I get to cut the amount of stabilizer that I need. And whatever excess is around, I always save it. And I want to show you what I do. Hold on. Let me show you. Here are my thing, okay? Usually what happens, especially even like when I'm doing like patches, stuff like that, stabilizer and everything, I clip them together. This is a great saver. It's a good way to save. If you see that you have certain stabilizer and you didn't really use the whole thing, do this. Okay? Do this. Clip them together. Now, Jeanette, why do we wait? Why do you waste your time and you save all these extra pieces of stabilizer? Well, I'm going to tell you up front. This is why. Because if I get, let's say somebody comes with me with like a little makeup bag or something like that, right? And they say, hey, Jeanette, I want you to embroider the name. I'm not going to go into my big roll and cut up a whole big piece of stabilizer. That's wasteful, right? That's wasteful. What I will do is I always go through my little stash right here. And then I say, hey, look, I have a piece of cutaway stabilizer right here. This is all this piece, the stabilizer that I need. This is good to go for that project. That way I'm not cutting a whole different piece of stabilizer and wasting. Okay. You want to make sure that you try to save. This stuff really gets very expensive as time goes on. A lot of times people, when they think about embroidery, they really don't think about the expense. They always think about, oh, you just get the machine, you get some thread, you get a pack of stabilizer, you press the button, you're good to go. No, it doesn't work that way, my dear. So it is a lot of thinking, a lot of planning that goes involved. And that's, and talking about planning and involving, that's another place where we waste. Okay, a lot of times what happens, especially I find that this is an error that a lot of people that are starting out in embroidery, they actually make this error a lot. And it's not no fault of their own. It's just something that you really actually learn through experience. Okay, because you don't know. You're learning and you're exploring the craft. So a lot of things you're going to learn through error. What happens is a lot of times people don't understand that what they have to do is they have to plan their project. Okay, when I have customers that come to me with custom orders, I have to really talk to them about what it is that they want to accomplish. I need to find out about the type of products that they want to get embroidered, the type of embroidery that they're looking to get. Okay, I have to look at their design. I have to also figure about the type of weight thread, the type of needle sizes that I'm going to have to use. I have to look at how much time and effort it's going to take. And I also have to look at what the type of materials I'm going to use in order for me to do that embroidery. What happens is a lot of times people that don't take that time to actually do all that thinking up front just kind of like do things on the fly, and then before you know it, they end up with a mess, right? Because then what happens is they get a lot of puckering, okay? Or the design doesn't look as clear as they thought it should have looked, okay? And it's probably because they didn't use the right thread weight for that project and the right needle size, okay? So there's a lot of things that sometimes things go wrong, right? They didn't use the right stabilizer, or maybe they should have doubled up on the stabilizer and they didn't, okay? So there's just so many things that had to be considered. And people don't consider these things when they're starting a project. They don't do their homework. I actually kind of call that like the homework phase, okay? Because it's when you actually really have to think about what you're doing and research on how's the best way to do it. When people don't do that, that's when the waste comes in, because then what happens is your item's not going to come out crisp. It's not going to come out clean. You're going to end up with puckering. You wasted material, you wasted your time, and you stressed yourself as well. Okay, now you're pissed off because it didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out, and then you got a customer that now you're nervous about. It's not worth it. Okay, but the thing is, you have to take the time, and a lot of times people don't do that. Especially, I notice that the new folks, and because they don't know, they really don't know. They don't understand that actually it's kind of like a science. Really, if you think about it, you have to learn about the type of fabrics that go with what type of embroidery, and also not just the fabric, but the stabilizer, the thread weight. There's just so much to think about that. Honestly, if someone was new to embroidery right now, and listening to me talking, they're probably like thinking, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do this now. I probably don't want to do embroidery anymore." They'll probably shy away and go, "This is too hard." And it's really not. It's just that as you start to do things and you start to learn, and unfortunately, it is wasteful, but let's look at it from another perspective, okay? You only get better with embroidery with experience, right? So are you going to be making mistakes along the way, and is that going to be wasteful? Well, it could be, but at the same time, if you're new, my recommendation to you is do not look at it that way. Don't look at it as wasteful. Look at it as a lesson learned. Now that you had took that thin piece of fabric and you put a real dense design and you saw all this puckering, now you know what happens when you do what you did, right? So now you have to figure out how can you create that design on what type of fabric and what type of stabilizer and what type of thread in order for you to get the nice design that you are looking for. Okay, it's kind of like a puzzle, right? So you just got to figure it out. But once you figure it out, okay, the waste is no longer there. Okay, so the waste, really, if you really think about it, let's think about it like in a more positive way. Okay, because it's like, yeah, you are kind of wasting some time. Maybe you are wasting stabilizer, maybe you are stressing and all that kind of stuff. But if you take the time to sit back and learn from what you are doing wrong, it's only going to make you better. It really truly is. And it's going to help you to understand how thread, fabric, embroidery, how all of this fun stuff interacts with each other and behaves. Okay, so that way, when it's time for you to really start doing embroidery at a professional level, you understand it. And trust me, that waste will not be there because you're going to get to the point where somebody gives you something, you're going to look at the shirt, you're going to feel it, you're going to know right off the bat, this is the stabilizer I need, this is how many sheets I need. They're going to show you a design, you're going to tell them right off the bat, yes, no. Okay, and you're going to know I need this needle and this needle, or I need this weight thread, and you're golden. And you'll do your test stitch and you'll see it comes out great. You show the customer and you're like, okay, let's fill this order. Let's rock and roll. Okay. So you're gonna get to that point. Okay. But the thing is, a lot of times people that are new to this game, what happens is they kind of like they see people do it, right? But what they see is the machine running, right? And everything looks great. And they take it out and everything looks fantastic. What they don't see is how the person is looking at the fabric, picking the stabilizer, picking the needle, picking whatever, da, 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 and finding it and making it into the machine. All that process that happens before the items actually hooped and stuffed in the machine, they have no knowledge of it because they don't see it. They don't see it in the person's brain, or sometimes people just don't explain it. You know what I mean? So yeah, but that can be kind of wasteful, So it's like you got to be really careful about that. So know where to spend your money, know where you can save your money. There are certain things that you really should go quality all the way. There are certain things where you can go inexpensive. Know the thread that you're buying, and make sure that the thread that you're buying is going to work for the project you're working on. Not all thread is for all projects. Okay, so you got to be careful about that, right? So I talked a little bit about let's see, I think I got mostly everything. I talked first about the machine. Machine's really important too, and that's really where that's the big waste is in the machine, guys. Seriously, okay. If you heard me talk this whole hour, I talked a little bit about the hoops, the supplies, and all that kind of stuff and everything. It's really the machine. The machine is the most expensive of all of it. Okay. Oh, there is another one. I had one here. Embroidery designs. How many of you guys, okay, I know it's me. How many of you guys go to these websites, see these gorgeous designs, and you go, oh, that's cute. That's super cute. I like that. Oh, that can be a bestseller for me. Oh, I know I can do this. I want that. I love that font. I want this. I want that. I want that. Buy all these embroidery designs, and then you don't stitch them out. Be careful with that too. It's an embroidery design addiction. That's what it is. I'm telling you. So be careful about that too. Okay. So that's something else. All right. The machine, big one. Embroidery design is kind of big too. Because I tell you, I got a library of embroidery designs. I have some that I have probably just stitched out one time, which is fine because I bought it, I stitched it out, used it, good. But then I have some that I bought because I was like, oh, that's cute. And I have ideas for that. Okay. I have ideas and I'm like, I can use that. I can use that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then next thing you know, it's like I bought it, downloaded it, socked it away on my hard drive, okay, on my backup drive and everything, and didn't do nothing with it. Didn't do anything. It's still sitting there like, and I'm gonna tell you something. Embroidery designs they can be expensive and inexpensive. Okay, depends on where you're buying them. Some places you can get them for like $5.99. Some are very expensive. You can go $7 to $8 and stuff. Depends on where you get them from and the type of design as well, and also the size. Okay. However, there are some other places where you can go and you can get them pretty inexpensive for like $1, $2, $3, stuff like that, right? But when you really start to look at all the embroidery designs that you bought, it adds up pretty quickly because you're buying fonts, you're buying this, you're buying that. You want one with 3D puff embroidery, you want it to be the sketch embroidery, you want a filled embroidery, you want to do applique. There's so many different types of embroidery designs you can do. And the next thing you know, you end up with a whole big library. And I don't even want to add up how much I've spent on embroidery designs because I don't want to know. No, I do add it up because I have to know because it's part of my business expenses. But I mean, it can be pricey up there. It really, really can be. So it's like, so when you're looking at embroidery designs, guys, ask yourself a question. Am I really going to use this design? Or am I just buying it because I'm buying it? You know what I'm saying? Sorry. I know the holidays are coming up. So we got Thanksgiving coming up, which I can't believe that the holidays are coming up because this year has flown. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, not that I'm complaining because I'm like, ooh, the faster time goes by, the faster I can retire. So, but that's okay. But when I retire, it can go slow. That's how I feel. Then it can go really, really slow. But yeah, it's like it can be crazy, so there is a lot of things that you could end up spending a lot of money on and stuff. Let me see what else. I think I covered everything. I think, yeah. Let me see. Did I? I think I did. I covered everything. So I thought this would be a pretty good topic for us to talk about today. I really did. I thought about that, and stuff because when I was cutting the stabilizer, I cut around the design and I was like, oh, I could use these for something else. So I just like, stock them together and stuff like that. But it can get really crazy sometimes and stuff. Let's see. Okay. All right, guys. So let me see. All right. So let me go down the chat. It is 9:00. And as I said, I always like to talk to you guys and hang out with you guys. Hi, Deidre. See Deidre texting me. All right. So let me go down and say hi to all you guys in the chat. And I will answer all your questions. And I know Deidre, she texted me one question real quick. And let me see if I can answer it for her real quick and stuff. I think she's working on something. So let's see. What is your back? Medium. I use 2.5 medium cutaway stabilizer. That's what I use. She was asking about the stabilizer that I use. Okay, all right, guys. So I am going to go up in chat and I'm going to see. You're welcome. I'm gonna say hi to you guys, and I'm gonna see. And listen, if you guys think of anything that you guys have done, please share, because this is something like I always like to share my point of view of the embroidery. But I may have missed something, or maybe there is something that you guys have found wasteful and stuff, and want to share it and stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna be honest, there have been times too when I have bought stuff and I didn't think that it was gonna be that big of a big thing for me. And then what ended up being, it was the best thing I ever bought. And I bet you guys won't even guess what it is. The Peggy Stitch Eraser. Who had that thing saved my behind so many times when I have done a big boo-boo in my embroidery and I had to undo all those stitches. So you got to be careful with that, because what ends up happening is backup. Oh, okay. All right, backup drive. I'll have to get that information to you, Deidre. Deidre's asking me what is the backup drive that I use. What it is that my husband has set up our network in the house, and he actually has an actual server backup drive. So my husband's an engineer. He's in big in the IT field. So the house is gonna be set up like a network. Sometimes I feel like when I'm at home, I'm like at work. So I actually have to map to a network drive, and that is where we have all of my files stored and stuff. Now, one thing that I have done in the past before the network drive is I used to buy these little external pocket drives, and I used to connect it to my Mac, and I used to save my embroidery files there as well as save them on my Mac. The reason why I like doing that is because that way on that drive, that external drive, it was just like a passport drive. I would have all my designs on there. And then if something happened to my machine, if it went belly up, I could use that. So, but then my husband took that away from me and he put everything on the network drive. So, and it works great. So I was like, okay, so that's cool. So I work everything from there. And what I love is I could use any computer in the house and I always have access to my stuff. So anyway, that's how I do my backups. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to say hi to everybody. Okay, I see Sassy. Hey, Marlene. Hey, Miss Tanisha Creations. How are you? Hey, Jackie Hall. Hey, Black Doll Sheila. How are you doing? I see Robin, Jenny, Marlene. Hey, Nancy. That's my sister. For you guys that don't know, she has her own channel, Gifts HQ, and she does her lives every Saturday at 12 o'clock. Hey, Miss Holland, how are you? Hey, Rebecca Copeland, how you doing? Oh, South Miami. That's where my sister Nancy's at. Hey, Jenny. Hey, J Love, how you doing? Hey, Becky, how are you? Hey, Eartha. Hey, Miss Crafty Puerto Rican, how you doing? Miss Shirley, how are you? Let's see. Hey, Iris, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Rita, I see Judy. Happy Friday to you too. Oh, she's going to be watching from the craft room tonight. Have stuff to clean and do and open. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys know, but I am expanding. I don't think I did share that with you guys. I am going to be using not just this room, but I'm also going to be utilizing another room in the house. I think we might get started this weekend. I'm not sure. My son, Cardino does not want to move back upstairs to his room. He actually wants to live in the basement. So I'm like, okay. I think it's because he feels like he has his own little apartment down there. I think that's what it is. So I'm like, if that's the case, I'm good with that. So I am going to start utilizing the other bedroom for a sewing room. So I'm going to have this one as my embroidery room, and then I'm going to use the other one as a sewing room. So that's going to be pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about it, and hopefully this weekend we could probably do it. If not, well, I'm sure we'll do it, and then I'll videotape it and show you guys how the final product looks. Because right now I have some of my machines in the closet, and I really would love to be able to do some more sewing and stuff like that. So yeah, I gotta get into it and stuff. So let's see. Oh, it's always the high price items that go up. I know. Always the high. Everything's expensive now. Hey, girl, for real. How are you? How you doing? Good evening. Hey, Eartha. How are you doing? I always say, yep, and I do the same thing. I save my smaller projects too. And you know what's so funny is a lot of times what happens is people they don't you don't think, right? Because at first I'm gonna be honest, I was throwing out everything. Okay, I was very wasteful. Okay, I mean, I was like, I would just take a whole sheet of stabilizer, use that, and then after I use it, I would just strip it up and stuff, and then I would throw it away. And then before you know it, it's like as time went on, I started getting a little smarter and I was kind of like, why am I throwing that piece out? Now, let me tell you another thing that some people do. Okay. Sometimes what happens is people will take two pieces of stabilizer. Okay, this is all folded, but they'll take, okay, these are folded too. All right, let's say I have, okay, like these. Like, let's say I have these. Sometimes what happens is people will actually take two stabilizers, two sheets of stabilizers, right? And I see people do it. And and at first I was kind of like, but then I was like, you know what? That's kind of smart. If you have two stabilizers almost the same size, bump them up against each other, go to a sewing machine and use the zigzag stitch. Okay, just zigzag them together, just bump them together like this, and then use the zigzag stitch. And then next thing you know, this and this turned into, I think this could be an 8x8. And then you can use this to embroider a shirt or something like that. Okay. So it's just another idea. I've seen people do that. And, and people even do that when they're sewing, right? And they have little pieces of stabilizer for sewing. And they just have little pieces and they're like, let me just take this piece, let's just sew it together and we're good. So there's different ways you can do that. So don't throw away the little pieces. You can always reuse them. And stuff. Every penny you can keep in your pocket, do it. I'm telling you, just do it. Hey, Miss Max, how you doing? Let's see. Hey, Angela. Hey, Miss Terry Hunt, how are you? Hey, Ozzy, how you doing? I am loving your videos and stuff. And if you guys don't know, Ozzy, he has a TikTok channel. I think it's the TikTok channel and stuff. And he does, I think it's Queen Embroidery, something like that, or Q Embroidery and stuff. Ozzy, put your info in the chat so people can start following you and stuff. Let's see. I see Marlene. Let's see. I see Robin. Let's see. That's the gang. Hey, Miss Holland, how are you? How you doing? Oh, were people frozen? Oh no. What, 3 in a month? Oh, I wonder what did you buy in a month? I wonder. Oh, probably when I was talking about scissors. I learned the hard way, and I'm telling you from experience that these are mistakes that I made. Okay, I was going around, and I was like, because I'm gonna be honest, I would look at these scissors, and I would be like, $40. Why would I spend $40 on a scissor? Are they crazy? I'm not gonna spend $40 on a scissor. That was me. That was me back then. Okay, and then I would go, oh look, $1.99. It cuts. $1.99. That's all I need. It's gonna cut. Well, you know what? Got home. They cut well, but then after all the cutting and stuff, after 2 or 3 weeks, they were dull. And then it wasn't cutting the fabric smooth anymore. And then I was spending another $1.99, and then another $1.99, until one day I came on and I said, well, what is it with these $40 scissors? Then I bought the $40 scissors. They cut like butter. And to this day, haven't been replaced. See? So it's like, I'm telling you, it's just really, it's bad. So it's like, you got to be really careful, because you can really get some really cheap scissors and stuff to spend all of that money and stuff like that. Oh, Beth, how you doing? Thank you so much for your helpful video doing the napkins. Oh, awesome. I've been giving them out as wedding, but don't they make great gifts? I'm telling you, people love them. Oh, thank you for saying. Oh, you're very well. I'm telling you, those are, guys, I'm serious. Dinner napkins, people love it. And especially, Beth, the holidays are coming. Oh my God. People love it, because during the holidays, that's where people like to have, holiday dinner, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is big, and you know how it is. People love to dress up the dinner table, and the family all sits around and stuff like that. I'm telling you. Here, let me give you another idea too. Okay. Personalize the dinner napkins for your guests. There you go. That's another one. I did that. For we had a little dinner party with just it was just two other couples, right? And it was just 6 of us. And what I did was I dressed up the dinner table, and I should have took a picture of it and stuff. But what happened was I took a dinner napkin and I used a small font, okay, nice little script font. And then what I did was I embroidered my guest's name on the dinner napkin. And then I just dressed it up on the on the plate. And when dinner was ready to be served, everybody showed up at the dinner. And then when they looked down, they saw the dinner napkin on the plate with their name embroidered on it. And they were like, ooh. So that's just another thing. And then at the end of the evening, I told them, dinner napkin's yours to keep. And they can use it for whatever they want, washcloth or whatever and stuff. But it made a really nice touch to the table. So that's just another idea. People love that. So if you know, like, a family, right, and you want to, like, give them dinner napkins, put all the family names on the set. Like the mom, the dad, or the kids and stuff, or everyone has their own little personalized dinner napkin. That's a pretty neat idea. Maybe I should do a video. I need to do a video so I can show you guys how I did it and stuff like that. But I'm glad you're liking the videos. Have fun with them. There's so many things you can do with that. So many. Hey Rita, how you doing? Let's see. I'm gonna go back down. Let's see. Hey Kim Crafts, how are you? How you doing? Let's see. Oh no, yeah, Mello ate my cheese. What can I say? He's pretty yeah, he's a handful and stuff. And you know what was so funny too is I was talking, well, my husband was talking about getting another dog, because we had a boxer before we had Mello. He was thinking about getting a boxer, but then he thought about, boxers shed. So he was kind of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't get another boxer. I kind of thought he was going to keep going with it and we could get another dog, but then he's like, no, Mello's is enough. So I'm like, So I'm like, okay, I would love to get another Mello though. Let's see. I'm going down to say, and see if there is it. Oh, I'm going to be doing the snowman one also, have a pattern. YouTube channel on tension maintenance for that machine you're buying. And yeah, and you know what? And that's another thing too that Ozzy's mentioned about that stuff. I want to mention, when you are buying embroidery machines, make sure that you understand the maintenance that's involved in the embroidery machine, and also make sure that you have a very good understanding of the type of support you're going to get. And I'm not talking about the support you're going to get when you first got it. Okay, because it's like, remember how I said it's like buying a car, right? You know, when you buy the car and you drive it off the lot, like the first year you own that car, everything's like so golden, right? Everything works great. And anytime you call them up with a question, they're there to help you, right? Okay, well, ask yourself the type of service you're going to get 10 years from now. 10 years from now, not today, not tomorrow, 10 years from now. Okay, are you going to get the type of support you're going to need 10 years from now? Because I know you're not spending thousands and thousands of dollars on an embroidery machine just so that it can hang out with you for 2 or 3 years. Okay, you're talking longevity, right? Just like when you're buying a car, you're buying a car because you're hoping to be driving that until the bottom falls out and you're braking with your feet like Fred Flintstone, right? You know, I mean, you want to drive that to the end, right? So it's the same thing with an embroidery machine. Okay, you want to be able to embroider and get every penny that's worth out of that machine. But before you invest, because they can get very, very pricey, you want to make sure that you know how it works, you know how you're going to maintain that machine, and you're also going to know how you're going to get support if something goes wrong. Okay, and embroidery machines can be very, very expensive to repair as well, especially if you have to actually get someone to come to your home to work on it. That is the embroidery machine, especially the multi needles. They're heavy. They're not light. Okay, it's not like you can just pick it up and put it in your car and drive it out. If you have a flatbed machine like an SC 1900 or a Luminaire or something like that, they're big. They could be, embroidered flatbed machines can be big and heavy too, but they're a lot easier to take to a shop for servicing than a multi-needle. So you really have to like look at that and see what are going to be your options for when something goes wrong. A lot of times people don't like to think about that because they think everything's going to be rosy under the sun and it's never going to have a rainy day. But when that rainy day shows up and you ain't got no umbrella, you ain't going to be looking that good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying you got to make sure that you look that up and you do your research so you know exactly what you're going to get. And if you're going to see also, like, sometimes people have warranties up to a certain time point, right? The other thing, just like a car, okay, car has warranty, all right? So, something happens to the car, whatever, for, like some, I don't know what the warranties are now on cars and stuff like that. But like maybe, I don't know, 5 years or something like that. Well, what happens after the 5 years? How much are the parts? Okay. How much are the parts going to cost and all that kind of stuff. So you got to really, think about it and ask yourself those questions and stuff like that. Because the last thing you want to do is, get a machine and then, I mean, they're going to break down. Machines are machines. Okay. I don't care what brand um, of machine it is. It's a machine. Okay, it has moving parts. Things do wear out. Some faster than others or whatever, because it depends on the material that certain machines are made out of. But you want to prepare yourself for when things do go wrong and how you're going to handle it. You don't want to have something happen and then all of a sudden you're like, shoot, I don't even know what to do. Okay, because that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to think about. Okay. So let me see. Am I frozen? I think I'm frozen because I don't see. Um, okay, guys. I think my computer is frozen. Am I? Oh man. Well, at least I got the hour in because it looks like I can't get in there. I'm gonna. Yeah, frozen. I don't know. I can't go down the chat. I'm gonna let's see if am I frozen? I hope you guys can see me. I for some reason I cannot move my thing to see the chat. So I'm texting my sister to see if she can tell me if I'm frozen or not. And she's not responding. Okay, so I know Deidre. No, you are good. Okay, thank you, Nancy. All right. Okay, guys. Well, look, I wanted to go down the chat, but it looks like on my end, even though you guys can see and hear me and all that kind of stuff, I can't go down the chat. So it looks like, let me see if I can go down the chat using another computer and stuff like that. Because now it's like it's frozen on my end, and I'm like, ugh. And so I keep telling Fred, this iMac has been giving me issues. This one. I don't know. It's a love-hate relationship. So I'm going to use my MacBook so that I can go in here. I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties here. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. Okay, I'm in StreamYard here. All right, hold on. Let me see if okay. All righty. Okay, so I want to see if I can go through the chat. Maybe I can see myself live here, and then I can go through the chat. Because I always like to talk to you guys and stuff. And let me see if I can grab it from here. Return to the dashboard. All right, I'm going to enter the studio from here. I'm going to see if I can transfer from this computer to this computer. All right. Is there any echo? No. Okay, cool. All right. So I can read the chat from this computer. Okay. Woo. All right. So I'm going to keep talking to you guys from here, but I can read the comments from my MacBook. So I'm going to do that because this actually froze on here on my MacBook, but it's kind of weird because I can like still see you guys. Okay. So, all right, let me go down. And let me see. I saw. Oh, Evelyn, I missed you. Okay, it said question. Could you do a tutorial on using Embroidery software to create embossing and a large? No, I cannot do that. There is, Evelyn, there is an issue with embossing technique, and there's someone I think that's going around with a patent and stuff like that, and I don't violate copyrights or anything like that. There are and creating applique letter designs, I don't digitize. I'm not a digitizer. Usually what I do is I buy the fonts and I use them. That's how I do. I mean, I do have videos on how to do that. But I don't create. I'm not a digitizer. Embossing, the embossing that I do is I buy embossed files. Okay. And that is how I do it. I do have videos on how to use an embossed file. You can use that, but I'm not going to do like the embossing where where you put the foam at the bottom. First of all, I don't like that type of embroidery. I don't think it's comfortable for people to wear. So I kind of, if I really don't believe, or not that I don't believe it, I don't know how to say it. If it's not something that I feel is really beneficial, kind of, I guess, because to me, I just don't see people walking around with a bunch of foam on their chest. You know what I'm saying? So I just, so that is, it's not something that I can do. So I sorry. But I'm not a digitizer. I'm really not and stuff. So I think what you're asking is digitizing and stuff. Sorry. But okay. Oh, and then Bart, struggle with digitizers. Love advice on that. Okay, well, all right, Billy. All right, let's talk about digitizers for a moment, guys. There are a lot of digitizers out there, okay? it is something, from my experience, this is usually what I do. I do have a handful of digitizers that I do trust. And I do post the ones in the Facebook group under the guide. Okay. This is the thing. It is very difficult to find a digitizer that you can actually work with. There are some people that set up these digitizing websites where you submit a design and they go ahead and then they just digitize it. They send you the file and then that's it. I'm not a particular fan of that type of service for the simple fact that sometimes digitizers make errors and sometimes some adjustments need to be made to some designs. I actually do embroidery as a business. Okay. So I need someone that I can collaborate with. So a lot of the digitizers that I work with are folks that I send them the design. They actually digitize it for me, and then I can do test stitch. If it comes out great, that's fine. But there have been times when I will do a test stitch. Sometimes I need to make some type of modification. Sometimes I'm not talking about a big modification. I'm talking about little small changes here and there. So what ends up happening is, when I have someone that I can collaborate with, that is that those are usually the digitizers that I use. When you use someone that just has a website, okay, and sometimes it's not just the website, sometimes it's just how the digitizers work, okay. What they do is they take your design, they digitize it, you pay them, they send you the file, and it's case closed. If you need a modification made to it, you will never hear from them again. I personally am not like that. I'm all about having good customer service, okay? And, and to me, that's important, which is why I use the digitizers that I use, okay? It's because I can have that conversation. But what I usually do is I have like at least like 2 or 3 digitizers that I use on a regular basis. And I like digitizers that I can collaborate with. A lot of people are different. Some people just prefer to just send the file and give it a go, whatever. But I'm more of a person that I have to have that person that I can actually reach out to, have conversations with, and make modifications to files when they need them. For the simple fact, it is my business. Okay, I do not produce items out of my shop that are not top notch. Okay, if it can't be top notch, it's just not going to be made here. Right? That's just how I feel, because my reputation means everything to me. I have to make sure that I provide the best products out there. So I need to be able to work with digitizers that have no problem with collaborating. So it is a struggle. It is a struggle. So, but when you do find the right digitizer for you, the best thing to do is always keep them handy. However, I always tell people, don't just have one person that you can work with. Be able to work with several. Okay, so make sure that you have a list of digitizers that you can reach out to. Okay, so and be careful also with the pricing. Okay, sometimes some digitizers will price gouge. Okay, so be careful with that. And then also be careful with those that are way too cheap, because sometimes you get what you pay for. Sit. Okay, so just be careful with that as well. All right, so I hope that helps a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, I missed some of you guys' questions while I was going down. Oh my god. Let's see. Or I don't know, am I going through the right? I hope I am, because these look like different. Maybe this is like the Facebook, because I think I'm streaming in 2 areas. I'm not sure. Anyway, all right. Yeah, hundreds of dollars on designs. You're not alone. Me too. Miss Shirley, what do you do with your items that you mess up while embroidering? I keep them, Miss Shirley. I really do. You know why? Because what ends up happening sometimes is, you keep them as reminders. To me, I keep them as reminders, and at the same time too, I also like to keep them to show as samples to customers. Okay, because sometimes this is what happens. Sometimes a customer will come to you with a piece. And let me just keep your comment up because that way people know what we're talking about. So sometimes this I don't know if this happens to you because I know um Miss Shirley has her own embroidery shop too, So I don't know what her experience is, but let me tell you mine. There have been times when I have customers come to me and they say, "Hey, I want you to embroider a logo on this shirt," and the shirt is super thick. I mean, we're talking thin, okay? And then next thing you know, I'm looking at a shirt and I'm like, "Well, that's a very dense design, and I don't think that's going to work." And they swear up and down that that thing is going to work, and I'm like, "Okay." I can put a lot of stabilizer on there, but it's a thin shirt and you're going to see the stabilizer through the shirt. You're not going to like that, okay? And they swear up and down. Well, those little mess ups, okay? Perfect opportunity for you to pull them out and show the customer and say, "Look, this was a thin shirt. Look at all the stabilizers that I had behind it. Look at the puckering. And look, you can see right through it. Are you going to be okay with that? I'm not." Do you know what I'm saying? So sometimes, even the little mess ups, I'm not saying don't save all of them, but if you have a mess up that you feel might serve a value, to a future customer, cut up the little swap, right? Make it into like a little swap. Put it in a Ziploc bag, and then just have like a little Ziploc bags of mess ups, okay? And you can show the customers. Don't be afraid to show the customers, because what happens is sometimes customers will come to you and they have an idea, and it's not their fault. They just don't know. You know what I'm saying? And they swear up and down that you should be able to do certain things. When in actuality, you really shouldn't, because it's not going to embroider correctly, or even if you do, it does embroider correctly. Okay. I always tell people, don't just think about embroidering it and how it's going to come out of the machine. How is it going to look when that person throws it in the washing machine 4 or 5 times and throws it in the dryer? How is it going to look when it comes out? Okay. Because believe me, they're going to blame you. They are going to blame you. They're going to say, "Look at that. It's a mess." No. That's why I give people the care card. I tell people this is how you care for your item. You know what I'm saying? So, I save my mess ups. I like saving them in a little bag and stuff. And then if I have a customer that is asking for something that I kind of know it's like, "Oop, that's kind of a little off the rocker now, but let me show you why." And I show that, I use it as an educational piece. That's what I usually do. Okay. And stuff. So, that's, I mean, that's what I usually do. So it works for me. Okay. So, just a little thought you can, I have all these mouses now. I don't know which mouse is what. Oh, Miss Thick, she says, "I use items I make mistake on a tester for other and there you go. And you can do that as well. Also. So, that's another option that you can do. Or keep the shirts. And look at that. Miss Eartha saying she keeps the shirts that she messes up for practice run uses. There you go. You can do that as well. You can do that as well. In case you don't have enough designs, I dropped something I digitized for free on Facebook. I saw that, Bob. I saw your butterfly. It was cute. I liked it. And yeah, I'm downloading it too. You can never have too many designs. That's what I say. But all I'm saying is be careful. You don't overdo it. Make sure you use your designs. Make sure you use them. I couldn't do it. It says on Google Drive. Oh, okay, you're gonna have to check that out. And Miss Iris says, "I have so many designs because they're cute, only to find out that I already own that design and the same thing with the fonts." That's another thing too. You gotta be careful, because sometimes you think it's cute, you're gonna find it's cute next month and you forgot you bought it. So that is another thing. Yeah. Um, let's see. I think we're all guilty of buying too many designs. Yep. We all do it. We all do it. Um, let's see. Let's see. Hey, Barina, how you doing? I wish I could just use the one computer, but it looks like it just went belly up and stuff like that. And let me see. I don't know. I'm afraid of stopping it from this one, and then I lose you guys. So I'm just gonna go with the two. All right. So let me see. Can I do that? Let me see. All right, guys. I'm gonna do something crazy here. All right. I am adding. I don't know which one I'm in. I don't know if I'm using my laptop or my thing. Okay, I'm gonna close this. Hopefully I don't lose you guys. If I do, love you all. Hope you give me a thumbs up. If I don't, then I'm gonna keep going. All right, so I'm gonna shut down my iMac and I'm going to use my MacBook. Oh, it doesn't even let me shut that down. It looks like, what is going on? Oh, this is just weird. Okay, it is what it is, right? Oh boy. Okay. All right. Burrito says, what stabilizer do you use for very detailed applique on a sweatshirt? Would a water soluble floater help, or just a cutaway? Okay. Water soluble topper is usually used for one purpose, which is usually for lifting up the thread. Okay. And sometimes people do that. I think it's for like free lace embroidering. They use it for that too. When it comes on a sweatshirt, okay, I usually use cutaway. Whenever it comes to clothing, you have to think of it this way. Clothes you wear it, you wash it, you dry it a lot. Okay, so whatever stabilizer you want to use on clothing, you want to make sure that it's something that is going to last as long as the item, as the clothes. So if you use something called tearaway, tearaway dissolves. It's going to dissolve in the wash. So the support eventually is going to go away as the person washes the item, and it's no longer going to be there to help the embroidery kind of stay in place, right? So I usually use cutaway when it comes to clothing. Now, if you are using a white shirt, okay, and I try to kind of like steer away from those when I can. The problem that I have with white shirts is sometimes if you use a heavy stabilizer, depending on the thickness of the shirt, if it's very, very thin, you're going to see the stabilizer right through it. Because of that, a lot of times what people do is they use no-show mesh. No-show mesh is strong, but it's thin, and it kind of blends in with the shirt. Okay, so you don't really see it that much. So I hope that kind of helps a little bit. But so when it comes to a sweatshirt, you should be good with cutaway stabilizer. The reason being is because sweatshirts are usually very thick. When the water soluble topper, I don't really use it on a sweatshirt. However, though, okay, now remember what I told you. Toppers is to give threads a lift. If you are using fonts that are very small or a design that is very small, you may want to add that topper on there to lift that thread, okay, to give it that little, you know what I mean? But if you have something like an applique, appliques are usually pretty dense and thick, right? So they're already going to lay nicely on the fabric. So a topper is really not necessary, okay? You can do it, but it's not really going to give you any extra, stability or anything like that, okay? So I hope that helps. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going down. I hope I'm answering your questions. I didn't realize that I was going through these questions and I wasn't answering your questions, guys. Oh my goodness. All right. Sorry, because I always like to answer all the questions. I hear Mello running all over the house. Let me see. Going down. Let me see. Okay. Oh, I already got that question. All right. Yep, and this is the name of the Facebook group. Thanks, Bob. That's the name of my Facebook group. You guys are welcome to join it. It's a great place for you guys to ask for help and everything. Everyone there is super nice. I do monitor it very, very closely. I try to make sure there's no scammers on there and stuff. As soon as I see that there is, I kick them out. Okay. So yeah. So please consider joining and stuff. That way you can have some fun and get, have help and everything. Let me see. Let's see. Hey, Pretty Eyes, how are you? I see Pretty Eyes there. Jackie, Angela, and Stitches, how are you? How you doing? Oh, there you go. There's a good one. She said, I purchased a sharpener for the scissors and it works pretty well. Smart. That's a good one. Yep, that is pretty good. I don't have a sharpener for my scissors, so I may have to look at that. Oh, and for you guys, this is Oz's TikTok. It is. It's Q Heaven Embroidery and stuff. And if you guys don't know, Bob has also a YouTube channel. And I love it. It's like they have these cartoons and he does reviews of all the cartoons and everything like that. And he has a pretty good following too. I think he's like, when I checked, you had like 8,000 subscribers. I was like, good for Bob. I was like, look at him go. I was like, oh, and I loved it. I loved your content. I was like, oh, so I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Bob and Ozzy and stuff. So yeah, so if you guys don't know, that is his YouTube channel. And he is like, he's pretty good. He's really, really good at what he does. I love it and stuff. And small, oh, look at that comment. My small bits of, yep, for the fast frame. And I use that. Yes, Bob. Thank you so much for putting that in there. I do that too for all the small ones. And you'll be surprised too, because I get like, like I use the fast frames for like if people have like a makeup case or a book bag or something small, right, where I have to use it. Perfect. These are perfect. Okay, you just put it right on there and you're good to go. I'm telling you, really good. Am I skipping questions? See, I'm a mess because I'm having technical difficulties. I'm having all these technical difficulties things. Take a picture of something so I can see the results. I really make designs for other people. I'm so curious about the results. Oh, that's so cool. Bob is practicing his digitizing skills. What do I spray? Some adhesive, overlap them together. Oh, there you go. That's another option. That is another option. And you know what? Now that you think about it, but I'm like wondering, because you know what was going through my mind, Iris? I was thinking, oh, use a glue stick. Maybe you could use a glue stick. But then I'm like wondering, will it come up the needle while embroidering? And see, this is the thing also. This is another thing too, is if you put it like this, right, you kind of overlap it, right? So you can have, the issue that I have with this is then you have to ask yourself, if I go like this, right, and I take two pieces of stabilizer and I go like this, see right here in the middle how you have that overlap, okay? Depending on the design, you have to ask yourself, will that overlap interfere with how the design is stitched out on the fabric? I hope not, but it's something that would come to my mind. So if I had like a very thin piece of fabric or something like that, and the design is not like very dense, it's like embossed or something like that, I would have to test this out to make sure that this area right here that it doesn't kind of embroider different out here and out here. I'm just a perfectionist, especially like for me, if I was embroidering for me, I wouldn't care, right? But if I'm embroidering for a customer, I would care because I don't want my product to look like crap when it leaves, okay? So I would be very particular about that. Now, if you take this and you bump it up next to each other, right? Like I was talking about before, how people go and they bump it up and then they go to the sewing machine and they use a zigzag stitch to kind of like put it together. When you do that, you really don't have that overlap, right? You just have it bumped up together. So the stabilizer is on an even level. So because it's an even level, when it starts to embroider, you should be fine. Okay. So that's why to me, I would prefer to kind of like zigzag it together because I know that the stabilizer will be on a flat plane. Then if you were to go ahead and overlap it, because once you overlap it, that area that you overlapped, the stabilization is different. And I know my dog is doing something. What are you doing? He's fine? Okay. Oh, that was you. Okay. I thought he was doing something. Okay, he was with Fred, so he's fine. Right, Noah? You're fine. Oh, I don't think you see him because it's you guys using this. You want to say hi? You say hi. Yeah. He's bad today. Very, very bad. And stuff. And I'm telling you, man, he ate all my cheese. See? So I usually like to have cheese with wine, you know. I always buy like a little little tray of cheese with salami and olives and stuff like that. And I always like to sometimes like sit in my backyard with my hubby and just have like some red wine and just have some cheese. But it doesn't look like that's gonna happen tonight. So that's okay. He got to it. He's the cheese dog. Should have called you Cheese. Look at him. All right, so yeah, cheese dog. It's getting big. I mean, he's as big as he's gonna get. He's 85 pounds now, so he's not gonna get any bigger. He's 4 now, 4 years old. You're 4. You're 4 years old. All right, let's keep going. No, we still got more chats to go through. Okay, so let's see if there's any more questions out there. All righty. Oh, Angela, she said she signed up for the notification, didn't get it. Now I'm late. Damn you too. Oh, should have told you something. Let's see. Oh, she said, I've been checking out Facebook Marketplace for embroidery machines, and there are a lot of them being put out for sale. Yep, it's true. And then I found out the shop where I bought my 1055 from, people are retiring. Sounds like they will train people who take over, but I'm nervous. I bought because of local service. I wouldn't worry about it, Carol. I really don't. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. Don't worry. You know what I am thinking of doing? One of the subscribers gave me an idea about going to a sewing machine school where they actually teach you how to repair embroidery and sewing machines. And I know it's out in Texas somewhere. And I looked it up, and it was, I think, when I checked into it, it was about like $3,000. And it was like a whole week of, you're going to take apart an embroidery machine, put it all together, and you learned how to do sewing machine repairs, surgery repairs, sewing machine repairs, all that stuff. Learn about the parts and everything. I want to do it so bad. So one of the things that I am going to do when I retire, I told myself I am going to make that trip out there, and I'm going to take that course. And I want to do it because this is the thing. Sometimes You know, and with me, I'm okay because I have more than one machine, right? So let's say one machine goes belly up and I have a huge order. Well, not a problem. Okay, I got one machine that's out of service, but I have the other two that I can work off of. However, though, if you are someone that only has one machine and you're running a business, right? And that machine goes belly up, you're kind of screwed. You're kind of really screwed because now your machine ain't running at all. And you got orders you got to pop up. And you got your customer's going to be waiting, and you don't know when the repairman is going to be able to get to you. So it could be a pretty scary place to be if you are in that situation. Now, I'm me personally, I have the three, right? But the thing is, it gets very expensive when you have to run maintenance on three multi-unit machines. Okay, there it's not cheap, and I usually have my machines serviced annually, so it's a pretty hefty check that I have to cut because I have the person drive out to me and actually work on all my machines. Now, the thing is, I was like thinking if I can take the class where I can repair my own machines and I they teach me exactly how to strip the machines the same way like Justin does when he comes and everything like that. I can do most of the stuff myself, and I don't have to wait for anybody. I don't have to wait to be on schedule or anything like that, and I can just fix it right there. So I'm thinking of seriously doing that. That's something that I want to do and stuff. So I think that is definitely something that you're gonna see me do. Um, oh my God. Okay. My Etsy lecture is in the shop for servicing for the first time since I got it for 4 years. Man, that's overdue. But that's pretty good though. That means that your machine just keeps going. Hey, Bubba, Booba, how you doing? Um, I can wait to set up all my sergers, sewing machines, and embroideries in my daughter's old room. Isn't it funny when the kids just grow up and move out and stuff? Everybody just takes their bedrooms. That's like so cool. And Deborah said, I invested in a multi-needle machine. There is very little videos online, and I cannot get the company on the phone for help. I only can call the shop where I bought it. Lesson learned. It's an 11, Elita 7. Yeah, and see, and service is so important. It's not something that you think about, and you got to be really, really careful because sometimes and, I look at it like, salesmen, right? They want you to buy their stuff, but the thing is, at the end of the day, you have to really take the time to really learn what's going on. You know what I'm saying? You really have to learn it. So let me see. The thing that kills me is the most is the thread issue, the tension, thread tension. I see more questions about anything, and it drives me nuts. Yeah, tension's important. Yep, I'm not frozen. Yeah, but what's funny is I'm not frozen, but the chat capability and everything on the Mac is. So I know I have to reboot. I Unfortunately I'm one of those that reboots like once every 3-4 months. So my husband always tells me like, why don't you reboot? And I'm like, I don't need to. Look what happened. So I'm like, oh my God. So that's okay. All right. I've been looking on Facebook Market. I also want the multi-needle. My son and husband love hats, and they spend so much. Yes, $70. Yes, and it is true. Yes, Faker McFake. Let me tell you, my son went to Liz, and he bought a custom hat, and it pissed me off because he bought that hat, and I think he spent good like $60 or $50 for that hat. Meanwhile, I have all this, okay? I do 3D puff embroidery too. I know how to embroider hats. Why he went to Liz and bought that hat, I don't know. Because I could have easily got one of the hats, or he could have bought whatever hat he wanted, just told me the design and I would have did it for him. But he didn't want mom to do it. But yeah, and let me tell you, hats are very, very profitable. Okay, of all the embroidery, I think hats are the most profitable. Okay, easy to make. They are quick stitches. Okay, and the only thing though is different hats. There's different types of hats out there, and you have to know how to hoop them correctly for your machine. But once you have that down pat and you know exactly how to hoop a hat correctly and all that, you're golden. Then you are golden. You are golden, and it's easy money. It really truly is. Very, very, very profitable. Hey, Erica, how you doing? I thought I was frozen and stuff. Oh, let me see. And there you go. I wouldn't trust a digitizer who can't test their own design. There's also a big difference between testing on a multi-needle with a mighty hoop and a flatbed. Yes, there is. Very true. Very, very true. Denise said her daughter moved out 2 weeks ago. Heard her kids need a cleaner so I could set up the sewing. Oh my goodness. Hey, Valentina. I have, hey, Valentina, I do have videos on how to do the applique. I do not have the Brother NQ17E. I do have the SC1900. Same process. It's the same thing. Nothing different. It's just two different machines and stuff. And I do have, there's a very good video that I did do. It's called Applique 101. Recommend you watch that one. It teaches you what an applique is, how it actually stitches out and everything. And once you have that concept down pat and you go over to your machine, you'll know exactly what to do. Because there's really always 3 steps to an applique. Okay. There's the tack down stitch. No, I'm sorry. Placement stitch is number 1. Okay, that's when the machine goes and it actually shows you where to place the fabric. Tack down is number 2. That's when it actually tacks down the fabric so that then you can cut around it, and then you have your final stitch, which is the 3rd one. And different applique designs run a little bit differently also, because sometimes you have some applique designs that they have certain fabrics that overlay each other. That's when you want to use like a stitch simulator so that you can actually see the sequence of how the machine is going to stitch. Okay, but I recommend that you watch those videos on the channel. Once you watch those videos, I think you'll have a good handle on how to do that and enjoy your machine and stuff, because that is a really nice machine from what I hear. I don't have it, but let's see. Okay, where do I buy my best embroidery design? I actually buy them for so many different places. McFay, I like to buy my designs a lot from Etsy because I'm actually an Etsy shop owner, so I like to support other shop owners as well. But I also go to different websites as well. If you go to Embroidery, they have a section on there where it lists a whole bunch of different websites where you can get embroidery designs from. I actually always like going through that list, and I find some beautiful designs on there and stuff. So it's right by if you go to embrilliance.com and you look over to the left side, you'll see BX designers, and if you click on that is where you'll get a whole full list of really good places where you can buy different embroidery designs and stuff. So yeah, I buy it from all over the place. Can a digitizer design embroidery fonts? Yes, they can. Example, I use sayings or phrases on different t-shirts. Yes, they can. Yes, Evelyn, digitizer can do that. All you have to do is just really tell. That's why, to me, it's really important to work with someone that you can collaborate with, because I like that back and forth. I like to have the conversation, because that way you know exactly they're gathering the requirements correctly, and then you know exactly what you're going to get at the end. That is one of the things that I kind of like about custom embroidery with my local customers, is that I like to actually have conversations with them. I like to find out what it is that they're looking for, how they want the design to look. And I spend quite a bit of time with them. You know, sometimes my husband's like, "Oh my gosh, she's still talking to me," because I like to explain the process. And you know, and even when they want something and I tell them that they can't have it, I want them to know why. It's not that I'm being mean. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that it's really not the best choice. And I tell them why, you know, because you got to remember, sometimes people don't understand. And it's the same thing with you and your relationship with your digitizer. You want someone that you can talk to and you can collaborate with. When you are dealing with someone where you just send them a design and then they just do it and then you never hear from them again, because that has happened to me where I had tried digitizers and then I send them the design and then I pay for it and I get the file. And then next thing you know, I stitch it out and I go, no, that doesn't really look right. Doesn't look like it was digitized. And then I email them and I send the thing and you hear crickets. So what goes through my mind is I'm like, okay, you know, I did pay you and I got something, but you know, I have to now, what ends up happening is I have to pay for another digitizer to redo it. But I know in the back of my mind never to use that person again. That's how I do. It's just, you know, but yeah. Um thanks, Erica. Yeah, guys, if you guys like today's topic and stuff, please hit that like button and please subscribe to my channel and stuff. That would really help the channel a lot. Really does. Thank Erica. Oh, and Erica, talk about Erica. I have to bring you something at work. Oh, great. Where is it? I had it in my hand this morning. Where is it? Look what I made for you. I made you a patch. See? 3D. 3D embroidery. And it's yours. So I'm going to bring it to me to work. I'll bring it to work. And that way you can have it and you can put it on something. Okay? So, yeah. I like my coworkers. They're cool. Hey Angela, how you doing? Let's see. Mm, let's see. Hey Miss Creations. I have a Joanna, my M co-works fine, only food 5x5. Bought the brought stitch because of the free arm. Bought a brother PE 900 love because it can do the 5x7 hoop and embroids. Yes, I use the 5x12 as well. And I have a couple of videos on how to do that as well too. And stuff. Let me see. Just join now. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the join. Thank you. Yes, please give me the thumbs up. Give me the thumbs up. I'm trying. My goal this year is to hit 20,000 subscribers. And I think I'm at 18,000, I think. And I am going to pull out more videos, guys. I know that I haven't been putting out videos as much as I used to, okay? But I am. And I do plan on doing the 12 days of Christmas, which I better really start rocking on that because we are in August. So I plan on filming in September. I want to do 12 days of Christmas again this year. You know, so that way little small embroidery projects and stuff so that you guys can give away for Christmas and all that kind of stuff. I do plan on doing the Christmas gift exchange again. Okay. I will be, I got to set that up as well and stuff because that's always a lot of fun. A lot of people like to do that and stuff. I did Christmas in July, but I am going to do a Christmas gift exchange. I do it every year. So that is coming up as well. So I will be doing all of that. So, Let's see. Let's see. I'm going down. I'm gonna see if there's any other questions and stuff. Hey, Elena, how you doing? Um, and just yes, and you know that is actually Angela Stitches. That is actually my sister's dream machine. That is what Nancy wants, and I know the crafty Puerto Rican uses Racoma as well. I know she loves her Racoma. Um, let's see, let's see. I'm going down. I think I'm at the bottom of the chat. And let me see. I want to make sure that there aren't any questions that I missed. Oh my goodness. She said she watched the new. Yes. Oh, I'm not sure which is more bad. You know, I love those machines too, but I'm gonna tell you something. I'm so scared of them because that is over 20,000 for that new one. It's like, wow, that's a lot of chump change right there. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. I'm not gonna do it. Not touching it. All righty. Okay, I think I got everybody. I am good. I think I'm good. I am good. Well, guys, I hope you like today's topic today. I really do. I hope you guys like today's topic. About embroidery waste. It was just something that came through my mind as I was working on the last bulk order and stuff. So, and I was cutting the stabilizer and I was just packaging them all up because I looked at that stabilizer. I was like, I could use those stabilizers for hats. I can sew them together and I can use them for polo shirts and all that kind of stuff. So I just didn't throw them out. I just cut them up really neatly and stuff and I have them stacked in the other room. So I'm just going to cut them in like nice little squares and stuff. And then I'm just going to make a little pile and then I'm just going to save that for my next project, stuff like that. Because I really don't like wasting. You guys know I always say I am very cheap. I'm a cheap lady. Yes, I am. So anyway, guys, I am going to call it the night. Enjoy the long weekend because Monday is a holiday. So enjoy the long weekend. I'm going to be enjoying it myself. I do have some orders that I have to crack out. So what I plan on doing this weekend is tomorrow, I'm going to get up really super early. I'm going to turn on all these machines, fill those orders as quickly as I possibly can. Because I did take off work on Tuesday. So one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to at least treat myself to, just go to a winery, by myself and just sit there and just enjoy the view and the weather. Hopefully it's not raining or anything like that. And just be able to breathe and just enjoy. So that's my plans for this weekend. So tomorrow, get up early in the morning, crack all those orders as much as possible. They're probably going to bleed into Sunday, but that's okay. My goal is just to be able to have Tuesday, to myself. That's my goal. So Tuesday, I hope that I already have picked out a winery that I want to visit. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to go with my little cheese tray without Mellow, so he doesn't eat my cheese. Okay, I can actually have it, and just enjoy the scenery and the day. That's my goal for Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, get up early in the morning and I got to brief and work the rest of the week and stuff, but that's okay. So, oh yeah, that's right. So I'm not going to work on Tuesday. So I won't be able to give you this on Tuesday, but that's okay. Well, we always see each other at work. So I'll see you the next week and stuff like that. This came out really cute, Erica. I think you're going to like it. See how cute? Look at that. And stuff. I'm going to try to do this on a hat for you. I don't know if you wear baseball hats, but I'm going to try to do it because I have extra hats and stuff. I want to give this a shot and see how this is going to come out on a hat. I think it'll look cute. But anyway, guys, so I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy your long weekend. Hope you like today's topic. Hope you guys enjoy all the content on the channel. If you are new, please subscribe. And if you like the video, please give me that thumbs up because it does help the channel a lot. You guys be safe. Enjoy your long weekend. Relax. Enjoy your embroidery machines. Enjoy sewing and keep on crafting, and happy sewing and happy embroidering. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a great night. Bye. Oh, I can't even, it doesn't even end. Okay. Can I? Oh, I'm going to have to just shut it down from here then. Oh, okay. Shut it down from here. Bye, guys. Crazy.